Scrappy people, Tracy Reed here today, bringing back an oldie but a goodie that I haven't done in forever, and that is a TRD DIY Your Scraps video using the Cocoa Daisy Koi Pond collection. I do this when I'm feeling stuck or when I don't necessarily connect well with the theme of a collection. So the Koi Pond collection is gorgeous and I absolutely adore the colors, but the theme itself is not something that I really connect with on a day-to-day basis. It doesn't really apply to my life very much. So I used it for sushi photos, which worked out really well, but I just really wanted to do something to focus on the colors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of the journal cards and some of the papers just for filler, and I'm going to create new journal cards and tags and things with them. And that will make it so that I am customizing my product in a way that will make it work for me better and is more fun. So what this does is it saves me time later on down the line as well. So I can create these cards, create these tags, whatever it is that I'm making, and then later when I go to scrapbook with it, it will be already well done and decorated, and it will look like I spent more time on my layout than I actually did. So I spent about a half an hour or so doing this, and that will create, I believe, 12 journal cards and tags from the 24 3x4s that I had in this collection, and it will make them fun and fun to play with. So that's kind of what I do when even when I am down to like the end of a collection. I like to take my scraps and create things with them so that they don't just get thrown away. So my goal here is to repurpose these journal cards. They can be journal cards again. I don't pocket scrapbook generally. I do include some pockets in my Life Crafted albums, but generally I don't pocket scrap. So they can be things other than journal cards and still really work for me. Even though I do like to keep the journaling card size often, sometimes I make them smaller. I did create a lot of journaling cards for this one, but a lot of them can be trimmed down later too. So what I'm doing is just taking how I started this was I took the sides of the journaling cards that I thought that I would use more. So I tend to use the quotes and the icons more than I use the journaling side of cards, although I did create some actual journaling cards as well. But a lot of these cards had a lot of excess space on them around the outside edges. It gives you a nice clean look on your journaling card. But for me, the way that I scrapbook is nice and cluttered and embellished and done with a lot of layers. So I like to take my really simple journal cards and give them a lot of layers when I do this. So you can see I'm using strips of paper and scraps to do that. So this one says I'm fine, it's fine, everything is fine. But if you look at the card itself, it has a lot of white space around the outside edges. So I'm going to layer it just like I did the last one and just create something new with it. This also helps me to use these patterns like this one right here that has a very Asian flair to it. It helps use these patterns in a way that makes them color blocked rather than the pattern itself, which helps to adapt the theme into something more usable for me. So I'm going to trim this one down from a journal card into a banner instead. And then with this one, you can see it has the bamboo on it, so I actually want to focus mainly on the watercoloring side of it. I don't mind having a little bit of the bamboo sticking out, but I wanted to focus mainly on the watercoloring because I thought that that would be more usable for me. I'm going to take this yellow piece of scrap that I have, and I'm going to create a place to put like a banner or a title, or it is a banner. I'm going to create a place to put a title later. So the way that I'm approaching this is I'm actually consolidating all of my journal cards first so that I have them all like combined into however many journal cards or tags that I'm going to end up with, which ends up being 12. But then what I'm going to do is, after I've got them all layered with paper and trimmed down and done the basic building blocks of these cards and tags, I'm going to come back in with embellishments and sort of finish them off. So I'm just going for simple right now, and adding paper and like layering my tags instead of working on embellishments. And the reason that I like to do that is because it helps me to focus and sort of assembly line these cards and tags in a way that makes it more time effective. Because if it was, if I was trying to complete each card one at a time, I would go a lot slower than if I do all of them in stages, right? This one was super fun. I wanted to trim this card, and I needed less journaling space on this card. Like, I don't tend to write that much, especially since I can fit at least 2 lines of journaling in each one of those pink spots. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim off the top and add it to the top of this card, and then I'm going to cut out 3 of the journaling spots, and I'm actually going to stagger them on this card. And the way that this card works out is really fun, and I'm not going to spoil the surprise for you yet, but it worked out so perfectly, and I didn't even plan it, and you wouldn't know that I didn't plan it by judging by the end product. So I'm getting close to done with the card layering portion of this project. Decided that there wasn't a lot that I could do with this one specifically, so I'm just going to trim it down into a tag and see if there's like a way to embellish it down the line. I trimmed it up so it wasn't so fat. I actually wanted to put this card with that banner on the very first one that I did, but it didn't look great. So then I pulled out all of the rub-ons that I'm going to be using for a few of these cards, and I thought that this relax worked really well. So koi fish, koi pond, the theme doesn't really resonate with me, but I get like the relaxed vibe of like fish swimming around a pond, so that worked for me, and I made the theme work. So I added documented to this label that I created earlier. Then I'm going to add an arrow to this one. And then this one I made a little bit more speckly. So I added the speckles down here at the bottom, and then I'm going to add these ink rings as well. One up here, and then I'm going to cut it and put it over here as well. Just a little bit more customized, right? Just adding to the card. I did that and it didn't work out so well, so I'm going to cover it up later. I wished it would stand out just a little bit more, but it didn't. Adding some of the background into the foreground to make it look cohesive. And now I'm going to start adding in things other than rub-on. So I've got enamel dots for this card. Just going to add 1, 2 on this card, or on this tag I should say. And then this one, look at that. I had 1, 2, and 3 for this card, and it's even in the right color scheme that I chose for the stripes in the background. So now I've got them all laid out. I like to look at them all together and then add the final finishing touches here. I find that looking at them all together helps me to visualize which ones don't look quite done. So I'm going to add some flowers to this one. I'm going to add a koi fish over the rub-on koi fish that didn't quite show up the way that I wanted it to on the Go With The Flow card. I'm going to add a flower here and there, some enamel dots, and then I'm going to call it good. So if you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you. If you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Tracy M. Reed. I'd love to see you over there as well. There is a link to Coco Daisy in the description box below if you are interested in picking up one of their collections. And I will see you next time. All right. Thank you.